everyone. I hope you are having a good morning, evening, afternoon, whatever time it may be where you are. As I have promised in chat, we get to start with a large grid with arrows. Today's large grid with arrows is by Dyer. Absolutely, Jay. Yeah, we should definitely have Zetamath does large grid with arrows stream number whatever would be a good process. Let's see. So for those of you who have not been following for a bit, I did on my 24-hour stream promise to dye my hair purple. So actually, if you notice my hair is a different color now, it is because I have pre-bleached it so that I can hopefully turn it purple. Although I have quite a bit of gray hair, and it turns out to be quite difficult to dye gray hair, so we'll see what I can do. I'm gonna do my level best to have purple hair. We'll see how it goes. Have you ever set a large grid with arrows puzzle, Naverio? I'm trying to think. I don't remember any. Yeah, I don't remember any. Naverio is much more a JSOM sort of setter, I feel like, rather than the large grid with arrows. I'm trying to think. Navarro's going to say one, and I'm going to be like, oh, maybe. No, Navarro, yeah, I don't think, yeah. You've got to set some sort of, yes. Outside clues puzzles is definitely a Navarro thing, but the thing, it's going to be a pretty dark purple because I want it to actually show up. Because last time I dyed my hair purple, you needed basically a microscope to see that it was purple, and I would like it to be obviously purple, but we shall see exactly how it works out. I'm actually happy on camera. You can quite clearly tell my hair is a different color than it was before. Depending on the exact lighting, even this blonded hair looks pretty similar to my old hair, but it definitely does not look similar on camera, so I am glad for that. Yes, but let's see, do I have anything else I should say? Oh, I should say that if you've not yet watched over on Rank's channel, there is a collab solve of me and Ranks solving a Perdoku puzzle, which was an enormous amount of fun. I enjoyed. Many of you came to the watch party for it, which was a great deal of fun as well. But if you've not watched that, I think it is quite enjoyable and features me hyperfixating on a 1-9 pencil mark that is in the grid spoiler, is not useful for some amount of time despite the amount of time I spent talking about it. But I'm hoping I get to do another of those at some point because I found it quite enjoyable to do. I might try and set a Perdoku as well because it seems like a lot of fun to try and make one, and a lot of fun to try and drive some people crazy. We'll see. We'll see what I can do in that endeavor. As always, no promises, but I can try and see what I can make happen. As long as Micro and Isabella promise to stream they're doing it, then I will try to make one. Hey, Kurabon, how are you doing? I hope you are doing well. All right. Try Doku. I mean, I don't think there's any reason you couldn't do it with 3. 3 or 4. I think probably 4 is probably the absolute maximum. It's probably pushing it. Although someone suggested I just publish vignettes as a hex doku, and just say like each person gets one of the grids. But yeah, we'll see. I'll contemplate. All right, so let us get to Coral Creek by Dyer. So I should mention this puzzle was voted on by supporters. So I always do the I always do start stream with the puzzle that got the most votes from the people who support at the mid-level and above. So this puzzle got 9 votes from the following supporters: Nordy, Chef of Death, Doomdiat, Luda, Josh, Jay, Math Pesto, David, and DDX. So thank you so much to all of you for your support. I hope you enjoy this solve. I'm looking forward to this puzzle a lot. I somehow had forgotten that this puzzle existed because I think I saw it and was like, oh, I'm definitely going to do that. And then I somehow between getting a house and everything else got distracted and forgot about it. So I'm glad we get to do this one today, because it involves a lot of my favorite sorts of rules, including big grid with arrows, and shading, but no 2x2s, and that sort of thing. So this seems like a very Zeta friendly rule set. Okay. Oh, and it is Philomeno. Okay, it is Philomeno. I was about to say it's Philomeno, but then I realized I hadn't actually double checked that. So we need to divide the grid into ominoes, such as this omino. And each cell needs to contain the size of the omino. So all of these would be 6s. As always, I've not turned my keypad on yet. There we go. And then we can have another one that is nearby. Like this one could be a 7 omino. Sorry, that's not 7. That's an 8. And that's fine as well. As long as the thing we have to be careful about is we have to be careful that 2 ominoes of the same size don't touch. And that's because if I try and put an 8 omino over here like this, then I fill in 8s here. We won't know where the boundary between the 8 ominoes is, and that would be bad. And so normally in a Philomeno, I would color each omino a different color, and then it would be pretty simple. It'd just be ominoes of the same color don't touch. No touchy-touchy, as Clover would say. But in this puzzle, we're also doing a shading-unshading thing. Like I did the puzzle Miami like that. And what I found with Miami was that it was actually easiest to just not draw in colors for ominoes and only draw in shaded and unshaded. So I'm going to try that. And then we'll just use numbers, and we'll draw in borders for things as is appropriate. Do you have a good bet cell, Jay? Because the setter is in chat. Let's see. I still contemplate submitting Miami to CTC because I really liked Miami, and this is somewhat similar to Miami. Okay, so yes, so the shading rule. So we need to shade some cells so that all shaded cells are orthogonally connected. All unshaded cells are orthogonally connected, and no 2x2 is fully shaded or unshaded. Row 9, I should turn on row and column labels. Thank you for the reminder of that. Row 9, column 11. Oh, this is a huge grid. So we need to shade some cells so that all shaded cells are orthogonally connected, all unshaded cells are orthogonally connected, and no 2x2 is fully shaded or fully unshaded. That's yin-yang rules, I believe. That is just verbatim yin-yang rules. So doesn't matter if you know that it's yin-yang rules or not, but I think that if you've heard of yin-yang before, or you know all of the secrets of yin-yang, they will apply, and we will go over the secrets of this rule set in a moment. It sounds simple enough, but it has a bunch of global consequences that are not obvious until you have internalized them. And basically, instead of viewing this thing as having 2 rules, you sort of view it as having 4 because of the secret bonus rules. Also, an arrow indicates that the omino pointed to by the arrow contains n shaded cells, where n is the number in the arrow's circle. So if this is a 3, it says the omino that it's pointing to has 3 shaded cells. An arrow may be in the same omino as the cell it points to. So for example, if this was a triomino and it was all shaded, this would be correct, which is dangerous. Alrighty, so that's mildly terrifying because I have absolutely no idea how to start. I don't think so. I don't think row 11, column 2 is given because it's the number of just shaded cells in the thing. So like this could be a 15 and the omino could do that, for example. And I think that would be just fine, except that's not 15. That's 15. No, it was 15. I was right the first time. This could be a 15 and this could be one omino, I believe. Now, I think the thing I probably have to do is take advantage of secret 1 of yin-yang, which is that in a yin-yang puzzle, it is always the case that the border consists of 1 chunk of shaded cells and 1 chunk of unshaded cells. So like something like this. Now, either chunk could be empty. The border could be entirely shaded or entirely unshaded. That's fine. but there's never sort of a mix. So I am never allowed to do this, for example, because this is 2 chunks of unshaded cells and 2 chunks of shaded cells. And because this tickles me, I'll explain why this is not possible. And the reason why this is not possible is because I'm obligated to connect all of the unshaded cells. And however I connect them, now I have permanently disconnected the shaded cells, unless you allow an S cell in the middle that is both shaded and unshaded, which is something I have played with in puzzles. I've only published one puzzle with cells that are simultaneously shaded and unshaded, but someday there'll be another and it will be heinous. Because that's rule 1 of yin yang. And while I'm doing rules of yin yang, I might as well also cover the Battenberg principle, as Russ would prefer it be called, which is that this conflagration is never allowed in a yin yang puzzle. So if, for example, and the reason for this is exactly the same as the other one, I need to connect the 2 green cells, but any way I connect the 2 green cells permanently disables me from connecting the 2 gray cells. Welcome, Doomdiat. You voted for this puzzle, so I hope you enjoy this puzzle. Nebu betting 1 for the bet tree. I feel like, given that J. Dyer chose this bet cell, I feel like there's pretty good odds that it's either 1 or over 20. I think both of these are fairly likely. Now, what I suspect we have to do is to think about the border and all of these arrows in the border that point on the border. Because actually, now I'm not sure. I was going to say because, and then I was going to explain why that was going to tell me something. But I think all it's going to tell me is that some of these ominoes are not entirely shaded. But I don't know that knowing that ominoes aren't entirely shaded is quite going to get me there. So maybe that's not actually going to be useful. Somehow in my brain, I was thinking about the border only being 1 omino, but the border certainly doesn't have to be only 1 omino. So I'm gonna yeet that. Let's see. So let's think about these 2 arrows that point at each other. That's probably a good place to start. So now, normally 2 arrows pointing at each other is a very powerful thing, but I think in this puzzle, there's no reason I can't do that. And so I don't think the arrows pointing at each other does anything immediately. That I can sort of see right away. Like, these can actually just be the same omino. Now, this arrow here is interesting, but I mean, I could just do this and make it a 4, and now it's fine, right? Probably there's some reason why I have to do something like that, but I don't know what it is. Let's see. Now, I think both of these might have to be shaded. Because certainly, whatever is true about these arrows that point at each other, they're both shaded. So that is at least something. I can tell you one thing. They're both shaded. And the reason why they're both shaded is because the number of shaded cells in each is less than or equal to the number of shaded cells in the other. And so they're certainly both shaded. And that's because the number on an arrow cell is always less than or equal to the number of cells in the philomeno it points to. So you can read these as like backwards less than or equal to signs. Unfortunately, the arrows are reversed of the way that you would hope that a less than or equal to sign would work. But we've got 2 shaded cells. And so, as Kuraban says, they have to be connected. Because these can't both be unshaded because it would make a checkerboard. And now, so exactly one of these is green and one of them is gray. I don't immediately see a problem with either of these being the one that is green. they're not both gray because of the no 2x2 rule. But this does mean there's not a giant pile of gray cells running around here. So either this part of the border is green. But that was okay. So there's something interesting going on with what I said about the border here. Because if the border here is trying to be green, that's gray. If the border here is trying to be gray, well, that just breaks immediately. So I think there has to be a border break between gray and green in this string of cells. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, this omino is entirely shaded that these are in. I agree with that. Yeah, so yeah, that's why I said these two cells were shaded, is because they're in ominoes that are entirely shaded. Okay. So yeah, so there has to be a break somewhere in here, because if these are, oh no, these could all be green. Is there really a reason why all of these can be green? And that's gray. Maybe not. Okay, I'm not 100% sure. I do know all of these aren't gray, because if all of those are gray, it certainly breaks. Okay. This pointing at this. Okay. I think this arrow might be interesting. So there's sort of two universes. One universe is where this is the shaded cell. In which case, sorry, this is the shaded cell that's in this omino. Now, what's interesting about that is now this cell is also in that omino. It's forced to be in the omino as well, because it contains the number of shaded cells in here, but every cell in here is shaded, so it just contains the number that's in the shaded cell. And so we would sort of get this by force going on. And now, with any luck, this breaks if I think about what happens to this arrow or something. Because, like, certainly this would force, we're deep into the bifurcation palette already. This would certainly force those there. But my gray couldn't even extend here, for example, because if this cell is gray now, that cell's also gray, and that doesn't work. So basically this would force the entire border to be green like that. Row 1, column 2, and row 2, column 1 are in the same omino. I have not proven that, but I don't think I used that, Jay. I don't think I said anything about row 2, column 1 at all in my argument. Row 2, column 3, and row 3, column 2, we have proven are in the same omino. Kuraban proved that by noting that if they weren't in the same omino, there would be a checkerboard. Oh, maybe that's not right, actually. Sorry. I think the proof that Kuraban gave me, I think, is because of me thinking about, I think I'm thinking about things incorrectly. Because it could be that this cell is shaded without actually connecting these into being in one omino. Right. I think I said something incorrect, right? One of these definitely is shaded, but that doesn't mean they're in the same omino. I don't believe. So yeah, I agree with Jay. I think we have not, in fact, proven that. So if this is shaded and all three of these are in the same omino, Danzor, I think, has proven that everything breaks. That does not work. And it doesn't work because this cell now has to have the same number as all of these. So if all three of these are in the same omino, and this is shaded, it doesn't, well, if all three of these are in the same omino, it just breaks. Because if all three of these are in the same omino, then then we run into this issue. And in fact, because these two numbers are equal, actually, if this is in the same omino as either of them, it breaks for the same reason. So if those two are in the same omino, it immediately means these two are in the same omino because these two cells contain the same number. And then that breaks because now this cell also contains that number, but that creates a 2 by 2 in the grid. So we actually get to draw a border there. This is a border between ominoes. Now, what if this is shaded? Does that matter? I don't know. I just know that this is an omino border. I think that argument is good, though. I think this border, I think, is our first sort of like real deduction. Do we have the same? What do multiple arrows in a cell mean? I have not looked at that. Okay, so the arrows are not summed. So these are also both shaded for the same reason, if I understand the rules correctly. The rules don't actually say what it means when there's two arrows in a cell that I can see, but because they don't say, I'm assuming that means that the arrows are separate. Okay, Nebu points out this omino also points at that. So this omino contains the same number as that because in this omino every cell is shaded. I'm going to make life really confusing. I'm going to put black circles here to indicate that in each of these ominoes every cell is shaded. And this cell definitely contains the same number as that because every omino is shaded. And so those two each contain the same number. Okay. So now we have our first opportunity for a shame omino because we're either going to have a shame omino or all of this is going to connect. Because this is either equal to all of these numbers or it's a 1. It doesn't have any choice. Because, yeah, these are also, just to make clear, equality is transitive, so these are also the same number. So why does it break if all of these are shaded? Or sorry, why does it break if all of these are part of the same omino? Is there some reason that I should see why it would break if all of these are part of the same omino? No arrows seem to point usefully at it. It would give me a whole bunch of green. It would create some weird issues, but there's always going to be weird issues around the border in this corner. There's no getting around the fact that there's going to be weird issues in the border around this corner. This is one where it's huge, but who cares? Yeah, something is weird. Maybe it is going to have to be part of it, but all of this being part of one omino seems fishy to me, but I mean, it is implying that this is part of an omino with lots of shaded cells. Oh, okay. Here's an observation. If this is... So there's the fact that these two arrows point at the same cell is interesting. So I'm going to sort of like try and just draw in some... Actually, red was a terrible choice. The fact that these two point at the same omino is interesting. I don't know why it's interesting yet, but it is interesting. Do I know every omino contains at least one shaded cell? I don't think I know that. Okay. But if this is a 1, that's a 1. Otherwise, these two are definitely equal. So if this is part of this omino, that's also not necessarily part of this omino, but it contains the same number. So yeah, so if this cell is... It's not just if it's shaded, it's if these are all part of an omino, that cell is unshaded, but it's part of an unshaded omino with tons of shaded cells in it. And so that would put a border, this arrow would imply a border. Because the only way there's an internal arrow, maybe I should say explicitly because I have not yet said it, the only way there's an internal border in an omino is if that omino is entirely shaded. I'm just going to use an orange circle to indicate that these two are the same size. Yeah, okay. So I think Martin has the point. If this is part of the green omino, then we run into the following problem. This region needs to be huge, but this cell's unshaded. And so it can't grow through that arrow, but it can't grow through that arrow either because it's unshaded, and so it just breaks. So I think this actually is a 1 for that reason, because these arrows constrain the size of this omino to be too small because this omino contains at least one shaded cell. So I think this does, in fact, have to be a 1. I'm going to wait and see if chat agrees because that was complicated enough. I think I believe it, but it would not shock me if chat points out that I'm conflating shading and numbers or something again. But I think this can't be part of the plus omino. This can't form a giant plus omino because I need to put at least 5 shaded cells in these 3 cells, I think is the point, with that one being unshaded. Yeah, I think I believe me now. So I think orange circle is 1, and we get to do a 1 dance. Ba-doop ba-doo, woo! Ba-doop ba-doo, whoa! Ba-doop ba-doo, whoa! Ba-doop 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 ba-doop. Our very first pair of shame ominoes. So let me ring the border just to be as friendly as possible. Okay, so those are there. Okay, and now there's one shaded cell in here in this region. So yeah, now I have to think very carefully about whether this cell is shaded and whether this cell is shaded. Let's see. Because so funnily enough, if this cell is shaded, these are both unshaded. Oh no, that's not necessarily true. Don't listen to me. Right. Okay, so here's a point from Danzor that I should have seen but didn't for whatever reason. These two are in the same omino, and these two are in the same omino just by philomeno. Because this is no longer able to be a 1, and that's no longer able to be a 1. But remember, this is an omino that only contains one total shaded cell. And so that means that we get to draw a border here, because the only way there's not a border is if the cell is entirely shaded, which we know this is not. So we actually know this is a 3. And this is a 1, because it points at this omino that I know contains one shaded cell. Okay, I don't need an orange circle anymore to tell me that the ones are the same. I realize. Okay, and so now this omino is forced to grow out like that and grow into that. So all of these, I guess I can just sort of green it like that, just to indicate that all of these go together. And they're all shaded because that's how the world works. Oh, this is unshaded. And now my unshadeds have to connect. So this is unshaded. This needs to not form a checkerboard, so that's shaded. But this is the only shaded cell in this omino, so those are unshaded. I think I did that navigation right. Now, these two cannot be part of the same omino because this omino is entirely shaded and it has the same number as this omino, but is not entirely shaded. Hey, Derlier, I hope you're doing well. So this omino assuredly grows out the back, which makes this shaded. This omino has size at least 4, actually. So that's definitely shaded, and that's definitely shaded. And I know that that's not part of the same omino. That's got to be unshaded because of that. This omino can't touch this omino either because this omino, again, has the same size as the green zigzag, but it's not all shaded, so it's not part of that omino. So the green zigzag continues out back here like that, which does create borders here and here because of that. This omino contains at least 4 shaded cells, so it needs at least 5 more cells. And so we get to sort of chase this out quite a lot, at least that far. And we know that there's a border here because this omino contains unshaded cells, so it cannot contain an internal arrow. That is not allowed. This is unshaded because it would create a 2x2 if it were shaded. Let's see. This contains a giant amount. Okay, so this cell... No, that arrow points the other way. I think it would create a bad problem if I made this part of green. I think if I make this part of green, I think I create a bad cycle. But let me just check. If this is part of the green omino, now this omino has smaller size than this omino, which has smaller size than this omino, which has smaller size than this omino. But I've just proven that green is smaller than itself. So green ends. If green takes this cell, I create this cycle of numbers that are less than each other, which implies that green is less than green. So green, in fact, does not need to get out. Green ends and is 4, I believe. People can tell me if they believe that, but I think I believe that. I think this is a 4. So that's a 4, and that's a 4, and these are all 4s. Okay. Yeah, so Nebu is saying, well, what if yellow takes this cell? Well, if yellow takes this cell, then yellow is less than this number, which is then less than yellow. That creates a yellow less than yellow problem. We don't want yellow less than yellow. So yellow has to grow over here, which makes my 4 omino grow here. Can do that. This omino is not entirely shaded, so the arrow can't be internal. This number can only actually be 2 or 3. Oh, I never plugged my laptop in. 1 second, let me do that and see if I can find the power cord. My laptop is dying. Power cord? Power cord? 1 moment while I find the power cord. I'll be right back. Okay, it was 2 inches from my face, basically, when I did that. Anyway, this is a 2 or a 3 because it can't be a 4, because I know there's less than 4 shaded cells in here, but if it was a 1, that would also be a 1, which would break Philomeno. So we have that. Okay. This thing Oh, it's larger than or equal to this thing, but it could be that both of them are 1, so I don't think I quite know anything about this. This is also 2 or 3, and I'm going to mark for myself that these are the same ketchup number. I don't think I know that this number isn't 1. Okay, Doomdyad is pointing out something valuable, which is that my phone is ringing. Which is that there's a cluster here of unshaded cells that if I make this shaded is going to cause a rather large problem, which is that my unshaded cells are going to be here. So in fact, my unshaded cells need to get out at least to there for sure. Now, red, by virtue of being 2 or 3, is not yellow, Lakia points out. And so what that means is that yellow, which is at least 5, grows to here. This line should not be red. I will fix that before it bothers any of you. This cell I know is not yellow. This cell's not yellow. Because if this cell were yellow, again, we'd have an internal arrow. And that would be a problem. This region is huge. Okay. This region is huge, and this region's even bigger than that, is the way I should see this. So I think that we have that there. Because this region, the one I'm now making orange has a minimum of 5 cells. And so, therefore, but orange points at pink, so pink has a minimum of 6 cells. If I draw in this border, I get a bunch of pink. Oh, could this arrow be internal? That arrow might be able to be internal. You're right. I think that arrow could be internal. This number is still huge. And this number is still huge. So what I should do is I should say this gets out for sure, but I don't know. It could be that this huge number is equal to that huge number. That is possible. Good catch, Nebu. That was going to throw me if it was... Sorry. This number is just a 4. Because it points at a thing that I know has 4 shaded cells already. Should probably do that. This 4 finishes here. Okay, every cell in here is shaded. I know, so I'm looking for a shaded... that can't be a 4. Because there's not 4 shaded cells in this. In fact, this is always a 1 or a 2, I should mark, because there's only 2 or 3 cells in here, so there's only 1 or 2 in here. And this 4 needs a shaded cell, and so the only shaded cell it can get is there. And so we get that going like that. These 2 are definitely in the same omino. I should probably make that a slightly darker gray, just to indicate that to myself. These are... Oh, sorry. This could be internal. If this is internal, it could be as big as a 3. This is a 1, 2, or a 3 as well, just because it's trapped here. I did not use anything assuming anything here. This is a 1, 2, or a 3 as well, because it points at that 1, 2, 3. Okay. Yes, that's a good point. Doomdyat points out, I know that this omino has 4 shaded cells, and it currently has 0, so it needs to grow, and it's not that omino, so it grows even more. So we at least get to there. Let's see. So if yellow stops, these are all shaded. Does that immediately break for some reason that I don't immediately see? Well, I don't immediately see it. I will admit that. It might break for a reason, but I do not know what the a reason is. Let's see. These are all an absolute minimum of 6. Doomed Yacht points out, actually, this cell's still unshaded because of my green still needs to get out. I agree. Probably if we look hard enough, there's probably like a reason why I can't just shade everything here. Because the second I shade a cell along this border, remember, the entire rest of the border gets shaded. I don't know if there's a reason why that's bad, but it might be bad. I will task chat with figuring this out. So this one's huge. So if this goes and takes this cell, we're now saying this omino has a bajillion D cells in it, which doesn't sound great. There might be some sort of argument about the fact that this omino then couldn't take that cell, so it'd have to sort of grow around here. Oh, and it can't take that cell either. Oh, okay, I think this doesn't work. So I think this is a bit messy, but I think if I imagine that this omino takes this cell, I think I run into a huge problem, because this omino is... this omino is, remember, at least 7 cells. It now definitely can't take that cell, but it can't take this cell either, because it would make this number less than itself. That doesn't work. So it could take that cell, but it can't take this cell, because this cell is in an omino that has the property that every cell in it is shaded, which I had been previously denoting by that. And so I just couldn't finish. So this omino ends in that direction, and so its extension actually goes there. Doesn't go there because, again, this omino has the property that everything is shaded. Doesn't go there because this omino is not big enough. But it's not done yet because it's a minimum of 7 in size. So it does go there, which has made this a 4, which has made this a 1, just by Philomeno. Awesomely enough. This was a 4 because it points at something I know already has 4 in it, which is a rule that I will never remember to apply. But this one time, I somehow inexplicably remembered to apply it. So this is, again, at least 7 in size in total. This is unshaded by, Doomed Yacht points out, by no 2x2 rules. And so because this is unshaded, it can't have an internal wall. And so it can't be a 3, because it would have to be an internal wall if it were a 3. Let's see. Okay, and now this points at that, but this is unshaded, and so now this can only be a 1, which makes that a 2, because it needs to have space for its shaded cell, which makes that a 3, which makes that a 3. Okay, and that has lots of consequences, including that all of these are shaded. Because there's 3 shaded cells in here. So Dorlier, what the arrow means is that this 3 is on an arrow pointing at this omino. It's a 3 because there's 3 total shaded cells out of these 4 cells. Oops, sorry. That's where the 2 grows. Like that. I know one of these 2 cells is shaded, and I know it has to be that one because of the 1. Uh-oh. This could be an internal arrow, says Jay. Oh, it could be. Yep, it could still be an internal arrow. So it is true that this is a 4, but it's not necessarily true that this is a 1. But everything else I did was correct, so I have to sort of resalvage that. So we've got to redo everything we just did. So this is unshaded because of 2x2s. And because it's unshaded, it's not a 3 because it's not internal. But now this thing This thing points at that, but it can't be an internal arrow because that's unshaded, so it can only be a 1, which makes that a 2, which makes that a 3, which makes that a 3, which makes all of these shaded. I'm saying this quickly because we just did literally all of this, but I made an error that I had to rewind through, so I'm going to do that. This is certainly a 3 because my 3 needs to get out regardless. This is a gray in order to avoid a 2x2. This is unshaded in order to make sure my unshadeds don't get disconnected. This is unshaded because of the 2x2. This is unshaded because of a checkerboard. This is becoming, this omino is becoming gigantic. This is shaded because there's 2 shaded cells in this 3 omino, and we've already got 1 unshaded one, so everything else is shaded. So this is shaded, not that shaded. Now this is shaded because of the checkerboard rule. This is unshaded by connectivity, and now actually we get a bunch more unshaded by connectivity. And so now yellow has to grow a lot because yellow still needs 4 shaded cells. So yellow at least grows there. Which makes this triomino grow here. Let's see. Okay. This must be a monomino, Heliopolis points out, because it's definitely not part of the triomino anymore. So we've got that. I can draw in an edge there just for general principle. This is unshaded because of the 2x2. This is shaded because of that whole thing. This is a 1 because it's pointing at that. Oops, sorry, not that. This is the 1. So now my triomino finishes here. So now this triomino can't touch it because triominos can't touch. So that's a triomino. Okay, this is a non-internal arrow. So it is a 1 or a 2 in total. Only one of these can possibly be shaded. My yellow line is not done growing because, remember, there need to be at least 4 shaded cells in here. So we've got that happening. This certainly is not 1 or 2. So I can ask myself if it's really possible that all 4 of these are shaded. And I don't immediately see why it's not, but probably someone in chat will see why it's not. Let's see. This is now an omino that grows to include this cell because this is not a 1 anymore. So this omino, it can be purple. The purple omino now includes this. And so this is not part of the purple omino, is what Lakia is pointing out because of that. And now this is also part of the purple omino. I know that this and the purple omino are different because this omino has the property that every cell in it is shaded because of the 2 arrows pointing at each other. This omino is also pink because it's pointed at by... Oh, no, sorry. This omino is not pink. Sorry, that's not the way the arrows work. That's the Denver arrow way, not the Miami arrow way. This grows down at least, which makes my 4 grow down at least. Certainly there is an edge I can draw in here. This is certainly a 1 or a 4. If this was a 4, it would force all of this to be shaded, which would force all of the rest of this to be shaded by border connectivity. But I don't know if that is immediately bad. If this is a 2, the 2 that are shaded could be that one. If this is a 2, this one's definitely shaded, is what I am prepared to say. Let's see. This points at that. Could this be internal? Because if this can be internal, the number can be huge. If this can't be internal, then it gets very interesting. Yes, this green needs to get out, Nebu points out. So by connectivity, this cell is unshaded. Yeah, Heliopolis is looking at the same thing we looked at earlier of like yellow is huge. So this number's huger, but it could be an internal arrow inside something enormous. Which is what I initially missed, was the fact that that arrow could be internal. Okay. Yeah, the gray line needs to grow at least 2. One moment. Let me take a quick break. I'll be right back. Fear not, I have returned as promised. Okay. So people are saying this needs to grow by at least 2 more. If this tries to grow this way, it can't go down and it can't go right. It could grow right, but if it went right, it would have to go even more right, I guess, is the point. So maybe that doesn't immediately show it to me. So if this is unshaded, it forces that to be shaded, which sounds sus to me. If this is unshaded, it forces this to be shaded, which forces all of this stuff to be shaded. Which forces this to be a 4. But maybe that's okay. Yeah, it's I think it's back. Oh, as you watch me on YouTube, I think it's back. Can someone confirm to me that they can actually hear me? It lives! Hooray, hooray! It is back. Alrighty, I feel like I had understood something and was explaining it, and then the internet stopped, and then I have ceased to think what it was. I think it was, I was thinking about what happens if this region grows down. And I think it's, if this region grows down, I think something interesting happens. Because if this region grows down, it forces the 4 to there at least. And certainly this can never take, if this grows down, it's certainly never taking the cell below it, because this arrow points at a 4. Never mind all the other problems. Could this arrow ever possibly take, could this region possibly take that cell? Because now this points at this, making this have an absolutely absurdly enormous number of cells. But that's maybe okay. I wanted to say this always had to take this cell, because even if it goes down, then it has to take that, because it obviously can't take that. But unfortunately, it doesn't, to me, obviously have to take that. We're getting close, though, to saying the right combination of words to make this thing happen. So maybe the question is, what happens if the 4 takes this cell? Because I think if the 4 takes this cell, I think we're now maybe having problems. I guess if the 4 takes this cell, it also takes that cell. Oh no, that creates a problem with this. Because if, okay, so maybe is the problem if this is not a 4. I think the problem is if this is not a 4. Let's imagine a world where this cell's not a 4. In that world, the 4 takes this cell. Oh, this can just be internal, though. This can just be internal in that instance. Yeah, in that instance, this arrow is forced to be internal because it can't be a 1 by itself. So all of that's shaded. But again, maybe that's okay. It would force a 4 here, and the 4 would point at a region, but the 4 would point at a region that already has a 4, unless that's a 4. Well, that couldn't be a 4 in that instance, I guess. This would be a 1 pointing at a 4. Yeah, I think that's okay, though. At least in the immediate future, I don't think that breaks. Let's see. Yeah, and the thing is, I think almost everything we're contemplating is going to force it to be the case that there's going to be a gray cell over here. But I think there's a possibility that this is a 1 and the 4s do exactly this. Oh, no, I think even... Okay, so I think that's what we're going to prove. Okay, so if this is a 4, there's definitely a gray cell in here. If this is a 1, then my 4s can't take this cell. Oh, no, they could, because that could be the 1, and then we could have my 4s doing that, and that could be the 1 shaded cell, and that could be the 1... Dagnammit. No, I don't think we quite can. I was hoping we could prove there had to be a shaded cell in here somewhere so we could at least get a whole giant swath of shading. But I don't think we're quite there yet. And this is quite constrained in how it grows, but it's not constrained enough yet. Okay, is it interesting that if this grows here, this is a 4? Maybe I should contemplate that reality. If this grows here, that is a 4. Is that interesting? I mean, I think it's probably going to force that to be a 4. Let's see. Dorlier says row 8, column 2 has to be unshaded, otherwise you block green. Is it a problem if this is shaded and then the unshaded goes around the side? I don't see why. I don't see why. Hey, Jay, I hope you're doing well. We are a community of many J's, um, which I appreciate. Uh, this this arrow really wants to point at a 4, but there's a possibility that this is an internal arrow and a gigantic omino, I think. Maybe it can't be that gigantic. So again, let's hypothesize that this is not a 4, which forces the 4s to do that. Oh, it doesn't necessarily force the 4s to do that because... Oh, okay. So hypothesizing that this is not a 4, it is going to force the 4 to take that. Now, if this is a 4, then we now shade everything on Earth and it breaks. So this can't be a 4 in this universe. This must be a 1 in this universe. Because if this was a 4, again, all of this would be shaded. But then because the shadeds around the border connect, I end up with a 2x2. That doesn't work. So in this universe, that must be a 1. That's certainly not a 4, so that's a 4. And now the point is that this number, the point I'm trying to prove is that this number is small. It's at most, in fact, it's literally a 1 in this universe. In this universe, this number is also a 1 because it points at this 4 omino, which we know has one shaded cell. And so in this instance, this digit's at most a 3. So my claim is this number is never larger than 4. Because either the 4 takes it, or as we showed in a sort of convoluted way that I think is visualizable, this cell blocks it from being larger than 4. So even if this is internal, it's not internal of anything larger than 4. I think it might be intended because of this arrow, Nebu. Because I think the fact that you can sort of see this, I think that could be that. Especially if you didn't notice that this could be internal, it would be a really elegant step. I think not noticing that this could be internal, I think, is an intended step. That is my current hypothesis. Because I think all of this would be much nicer with that. Let's see. So this. I'm glad none of your downed trees were on your house. None of my downed trees were on my house either. But yes, there was lots and lots of rain, which I'm sure my sunflowers enjoyed. Now, I think if I think about those two universes, I think I also know that this is small. Because I don't think this can be larger than 4 either. Because remember, in one universe, the 4 takes this cell. And in the other universe, in the universe where the 4 takes that cell... Okay, what happens in the universe where the 4 takes this cell? Maybe I should have to think about that more. Okay, let's see. J is saying that if this is a 4, these are all shaded. And so all of this nonsense is shaded. But the point is, this can't be a 4 because then this would be a 4. So the 4 gets out, but now this arrow is internal and all of this ends up shaded. Okay, so let me show you that because I can visualize it now. So imagine that this is part of the 4. This is going to make life much nicer. If this is part of the 4, it has an internal arrow, so all of this is shaded. Now, it's kind of hilarious. This can't be a 4 because it would make this a 4 by definition, and then my 4 omino would have more than 4 cells in it. So this becomes a 4 and is shaded. But now what on earth is going on with this? Well, this can't be a 1-cell omino, because if this is a 1-cell omino, this would have to be a 0. So, in fact, all of this is shaded. In fact, actually, I don't even have to look at this arrow at all. This arrow is not necessary. Just at this point, automatically, the shading connects around the border, and that makes it 2 by 2. So that doesn't work. So this thing that's 1 or 4, it really is a shame omino. No ways about it. So there's only one shaded cell in here, which for funny reasons means that this cell is unshaded. Because if this cell was shaded, remember the shadeds would connect around the border, and then that would make all of this go nuts, which also means this is unshaded because, again, the unshadeds are connected around the border. Which means this is shaded because otherwise I'd make a 2 by 2. Okay. So now does this being shaded break because of what it does to the border somehow? The outside border shading is really hanging on for dear life. That is an accurate statement. Yes, 4 does need to take this cell now. So now if 4 tries not to take this cell, 4 is forced into a Tetris L with an internal arrow which breaks. So the 4 always takes that cell. Good spot to Nebu. Now if the 4 takes that cell, that's a 1. If the 4 takes this cell, the puzzle breaks horribly. And so now so now can this be an internal arrow? Can this be an internal arrow with, say, a 3-3? I think it can. Oh, but gray now definitely takes this cell, which is helpful, which means this is a 4, and we finish our 4 omino, thank God. Okay, we're getting there, we're getting there. Only one of these cells is shaded. Gray grows again, because gray still doesn't have 4 shaded cells. We've got some border here with pink going on. This cell is known to be a 1 because it points at the 4, like in our earlier visualization, let's call it. So this number is in the same region, same omino as that one. So this isn't a 1 anymore, is what I'm saying. This isn't a 4 anymore. So this is going to have to be internal. This is going to have to be internal now, right? There's no way that this is anything but internal. Because if this arrow is not internal, this is a 1 now, and that doesn't work. So in fact, all of this is just a giant 3 that's all shaded. And the fact that it's shaded, I think, means finally the shading has let its last finger off of the edge. So we have these. Because I would have had a 2 arrow pointing at a 1 saying that the 1 omino had 2 shaded cells. So for rather amusing reasons, actually, yeah, reasons that amuse me at least, yeah. So yeah, so the tree now is in the shade, for what it is worth. Okay, we've got. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. We've got that. Okay, this can absolutely not finish because I can't have both of those be shaded. So gray does have to grow, but what Martin says is that gray can't grow here because if gray grows here, it doesn't have 3 shadings. Right. Got it. Okay, so because a 3 arrow points at this. So whatever this is, it has 3 shaded cells. So in particular, it's definitely going to grow. some amount, whatever it is. And now this has to grow because, again, if it didn't, all 4 of these would have to be shaded, and that's wildly impossible. So we have more of this omino. Oops. Oh, and so now this points at that, so it's a 4. Right? This now points at this, so now this is a 4 omino. So pink is 4 now. And we know how pink finishes because it's a 4. So that's a 4, and we can finish this omino. And so this can be blue, grows out like this. I still can't shade 4 cells in here because I still can't shade 3 cells in here because there's no 3 cells in here I can shade that don't create a 2x2. So gray grows again. Gray grows a lot. This arrow can't be part of orange because if this was part of orange, then all of orange would be shaded, and that's not allowed. So orange comes down here. Orange has 3 shaded cells, and these aren't all shaded, so orange grows at least to there. Also, orange has 3 shaded cells, so this number is a 3. This can't be internal because blue already has an unshaded cell. I was trying to think if I know anything about the number of shaded cells in here, but I don't think I do. Orange can't have 4 cells because orange touches a 4. Good point. And so now orange has 3 shaded cells, and so these are unshaded, and orange does not take that cell. At the very least, because that would be a 4th unshaded cell. Yeah, green needs to somehow get out around here. Right. This 3 is not done yet and is entrapped by this, so this is definitely a 3. It's not an internal arrow because both of these would be shaded. That's no good. This is a 5 omino, by the way. That is trapped, so that's a 3. So this is a 1 or a 2 only. So it in particular definitely doesn't go there. It's a 1 or a 2 because it's counting the number of shaded cells in here. This gray, can it possibly have 3 shaded cells yet? Is it possible that those are all shaded? I think that's possible. Maybe. Maybe hazily possible that something like that happens. Let's see. But I know that this cell, the thing I was looking at is this cell definitely is not part of gray, but gray I think still can grow, and it doesn't have to anymore, I don't think. Let's see. Dyer says this can't have 2 shaded cells in it. I think those 3 could be shaded and it would be okay. No, it wouldn't be okay. It wouldn't be okay. Right. Okay. I think Dyer is correct. So, could those 2 be shaded, though? I think maybe these 2 could be shaded. Right. This number points at this cell. And so if this is a 1, this can't be a 1. So this has to be a 2, actually. And so this is a 1 or a 2. But in fact, it has to be a 2 because it can't be a 1 because of the problems we've already said. So this is a 2. It's an internal arrow. Good spot to Doomed out there. I think other members of chat were here. So there are 2 shaded cells in here. It's not these 2. So that one's always shaded. And it's not these 2 for a slightly more complicated reason, which is that if it was these 2, that would be unshaded, and this would have to be shaded to avoid a checkerboard. But now I've isolated this huge swath of green over here. So that's gray, and that's green. Okay, so we've got all of that going on. So this is green because 2 by 2. And this is now a gap. So if that's gray, we have exactly the isolating a giant swath of green problem that I said before. And if that's gray, we have the isolating a giant swath of green problem that I said before. Glum Hippo was all over this, so good job to Glum Hippo for seeing that this was going to be relevant. Well in advance of its relevancy. Okay, so now there's no way that I finish gray here. Because gray now has at most one more shaded cell over here, which means that gray needs to grow, and gray can't grow, remember, to here, so gray and blue are the same, because gray does not have 3 shaded cells. So gray grows and overtakes blue. Here I need to make this green, otherwise there's a checkerboard. So gray is still not done. This is a 4, by the way, because it points at the gray omino. So as a 4, that's a 4. This is also gray. So that's a 4 coming out over there. This I know this is an omino with 3 shaded cells in it, so it can be red now, we'll say. This has been a very neat puzzle. I have enjoyed this a great deal. Let's see. Yeah, okay. So there's a sort of funny thing that happens. If I shade this cell, it unshades this because of 2 by 2, shades this, and now this is broken for your choice of reasons. It's either broken because we create a 2 by 2 to avoid a checkerboard, and that breaks, or because just those 2 shaded cells have isolated the green over here. So whichever of the 4 proofs you would like, that shading immediately breaks. So that's unshaded. So now the question is if that can really be shaded. Right. And that is not able to be shaded. Oh, wait, no, I think it's okay. I think this being shaded is okay because it could look like that, right? Is something broken about that, Glum Hippo? I'm not saying I think it does this. I just think it's possible that it does that. Right. I only get to shade one cell in the 4 omino, J40 points out, and it needs to be one of these 2 because otherwise I make a 2 by 2. So that cell is always unshaded, which means that cell's always shaded, which means that cell's always unshaded, which means that cell's always shaded. So in fact, actually, the thing that we sort of outlined as possible is exactly what happens. So there's only one more shaded cell in the gray omino, as they say. Let's see. This thing has 3 shaded things. Oh, by the way, Glum Hippo is asking about what genres have not been done. No one has done Choco Banana yet. I recommend Choco Banana for a large grid with arrows puzzle. Uh, let's see. Let's see. If this was a 1, that would be a 1 and it would be shaded. Otherwise, it's big. Let's see. Or 2. If it's 2, that one's definitely shaded. Hey, Karen. I hope you're doing well. Okay. Is there something wrong with this growing somehow? This one has 3, I know. Is it interesting to note that if this omino takes this cell, then that's a 3? It doesn't sound interesting, if I'm being honest. Let's see, is something like the 4 taking this on? I have no idea how many shaded cells there are in this 4 omino. As it currently sits. Is it what happens if this omino has an internal arrow? Is that finally coming into fruition? Because we know this omino, whatever it is, contains an enormous number, contains at least 7 cells. So if this is not, if this is an external arrow, then we've got at least 7 omino and at least 8 omino sort of popping around here. But that looks okay, just. I don't think it breaks the 4. Just. If it's internal, row 2, column 6 would be row 2, column 7, right? Oh, right. Right. This arrow has never been able to be internal, as Martin points out. If this arrow was internal, then yeah, this omino would of course be identical in size to that one, because it would be wait. Yes. Right. Yeah, you can't have an arrow pointing from the outside at a you can't have an omino pointing from the outside at an all shaded omino, because it will have the same size as it, is the point. Like if this were an arrow pointing at that, say, it would be a 4, but then that would be a 4 touching a 4. That doesn't work. Okay, so yeah, so that has been available for some time, but we're going to take it anyway. So now we've got a gigantic omino here and a gigantic omino here. And so the gigantic omino here is going to grow. We know this gigantic omino is not a 4, so it's going to grow. That's going to force the 4 to grow, and we're going to have these things both sort of lurching around this corner, because now, again, remember, this is at least a minimum of 8. Green is a minimum of 8, so green's got to keep growing, which makes pink have to keep growing, because pink is now a minimum of 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So green grows, because green is a minimum of 7. Green grows like that. So pink is a minimum of 9. So it grows like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The 4 finishes, which is going to then let us fill in lots of digits. So it's going to let us fill in that that's a 1. It's going to let us fill in that that's a 7. These are shaded. And so, I can draw in some borders here like that. Now, green needs, green needs 7 shaded cells, and so it's certainly not done yet. So that cell's certainly green. This is unshaded because we need to avoid a 2 by 2. If I shade this, it creates all manner of problems. Take your pick of which problem it is that you would like to say is the reason why that doesn't work. This green needs to get out here, so we get that green coming in like that. Oh, this is green for sure because of connective. Oh, this green mass now needs to get out, actually. Oh, that's going to do a lot. Because this green needs to connect outwards. So the green needs to grow yet more. So now this region is at least 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's at least 10 in size, right? This is now at least 10 in size, which means that pink is at least 10 in size. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So pink grows at least 1 more. But now green needs to grow to here, like that. Yeah, pink has to be larger than green. Oh, did I not add 1? I may not have added 1. 10, yeah, so pink is actually a minimum of 11. 3 plus 10 plus 1. Because if green was 10, pink can't be equal to that. So, yeah, so gray needs to, so pink needs to grow. Green certainly still needs to grow because it doesn't have 7 shaded cells yet. Now, almost certainly this cell is going to be the unshaded pink, but let me just draw in the easy lines first, and then we can talk about the hard ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We don't have 7 shaded cells yet, so we get that like that. This 4 finishes. Okay, that's going to be huge. So now that's shaded in order to finish this omino, which we can now count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I think I get 15 for this omino in dark gray. Over here like that. So we still need room for 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so all of those could be shaded, and this could be over for this omino. We definitely need, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And so there's at least 13 cells in pink, because remember, if pink takes no unshaded cells, pink and green are equal, which I'm not allowed to do. So in fact, actually, this green omino, it needs at least 13 cells if I counted that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, it needs at least 13 cells. And green is currently at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So green needs quite a few more cells, actually. Green needs to take that cell. 7 and 3 are different numbers, so that's not green, which makes red extend around like this. Green's still not done. So green comes over like this. So red comes down like this. let's see. Okay, so it needs at least the number of shaded cells in. Oh, right. This, right. It needs at least 12, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, right? But green is at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so green is currently at equal size. But red has to grow because I need to shade 3 cells in red, and I can't shade these 3. So red has to grow around like that. So that sort of forces all of those. That makes this digit a 3 because it points at that region. And that will make that work. Now, I don't have room for anything that's not pink to go in these cells. Even I can do the counting argument that if I make either of these not pink, I run out of cells. So we'll go ahead and make them both pink. Just for sanity's sake. Let's see. So now, yes, that is the kind of counting argument I like. That is exactly right, Yetha. So if pink takes this, it forces green to grow and forces pink to grow, which does not work. So this is hilarious, and I love it. Oh no, not quite, because pink could grow there. Darn it might break eventually, but I don't quite see it immediately, unfortunately. Uh, uh, let's see. Don't know anything about the number of shaded cells in this one. Yes, I should just ask myself if this can be a 7. That's the point. Because if green does take this cell, this would become a 7. And now there are not 7 cells for this to possibly take. So green can't take that cell, which means green is really done. And so green, therefore, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Green is 12. Thank you for that. I was looking at the wrong arrows. Okay, so green is 12. And green needs 7 shaded cells out of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, out of the 9 available. For whatever that is worth. Let's see. If red takes this cell, then the 3 is forced around like this. Let's see. Pink Pink is only allowed 12 shaded cells. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Right. So 2 consequences of that, because pink has exactly 12 shaded cells, we actually now know pink ends as far as this side of the world is concerned. Okay, and there's no way pink can take this cell now, because if pink takes this cell, this number needs to be a 12, which is going to cause some issues, we'll say. So pink does not take that cell. So we have all of that happening. Yeah, it looks really natural for red to zip up here and for these to be 3s and this to end up being a 2 omino, but we'll see. So remember, I need 7 total shaded cells in green. I need to unshade one of these and unshade one of these because I can't make a 2x2 here and I can't make a 2x2 here. So there's at most 2 here, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All of those, therefore, need to be shaded. And I need to shade 2 of these. And so if I shade see. Right. I can't let this be isolated, Nicholas points out. So green definitely gets out. Whatever it is. So now I need to shade 2 of these 3, and I only have 2 that I can possibly shade, so that's all forced. This green can't get isolated, so that green goes there. These greens still can't get isolated, so those go there. Let's see. I don't break connectivity either thing I make this, do I, weirdly? I don't think I do. Oh no, I do. There's this green thing is actually isolated. So yeah, this does need to be green in order for it to get out. And likewise, this needs to be green in order for it to get out. And one of these needs to be green in order for green to get out. This green certainly needs to get out. This green needs to continue getting out. This green needs to continue getting out and continue getting out. Okay, now this thing needs 3. Uh-oh. I broke it. Oh, no, I did not. I did not. So red is 7 is the point. Red is 7 because red needs to get its shaded cells. So so now red needs to grow. For sure. So now the 3 finishes that and that because red is not 3. So we can box in the 3. So red now takes that and that and that. And that needs to be shaded in order that red has 3 shaded cells. So red is large, and now I just have to figure out how to shade these 2 cells. Let's see. Right. This green stuff needs to get out, so that becomes green. And now this whole green piece still needs to get out, so that becomes green. I never filled in purple. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Purple is 14. And we can remove the purple line. And red, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Red is 9. So congratulations to all the 9 bettors out there. May all your betting tree wishes come true. Wonderful puzzle, Jay. Very fun. I quite enjoyed that. Was never too sticky. But this is one of my favorite large grid with a bunch of arrows puzzles that I have done in recent memory. And I guess I haven't done too many large grid with arrow puzzles that weren't in recent memory. But yes, very neat. We've got all of these things filled in. We got the right answer, it looks like. That ending was very cool, as the endings to these puzzles tend to be. The beginning here was really difficult to wrap my brain around. It really took a lot of sort of like, okay, what happens if this? What happens if that? What happens if this kind of stuff sort of going on up here? What was the first large grid with little arrows puzzle? Like, I think of my doing them as having started with Denver, but I certainly don't think Denver was, because Denver was just doing the Compass Philomeno thing. So I think maybe it goes back to Magnus's Compass Philomeno series, because Compass Philomeno had the same rules as Denver, I think. Although Compass Philomeno doesn't have quite the cute little arrows. It has sort of uglier arrows, which is maybe why it hasn't caught on as much. I'm not sure. Yeah, but yeah, this was a very neat rule set to play with. Oh yeah, the The having big ominoes here finish is a giant pain, so I'm glad it worked out. Hopefully it didn't break too many times at the very end. Oh, Nicholas has become a fan. Let's get you a fan dance. Welcome to being a fan, Nicholas. Let's get you a dance. Woohoo! 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 Thank you, Nicholas. Thank you for the support. Greatly appreciated. Alrighty. I am going to take a quick break, and I will be back in just a moment. Alrighty, welcome back. While I was gone, we got a donation from Glum Hippo. So let's get Glum Hippo a donation dance. Thank you very much, Glum Hippo, for your generosity. Woohoo! Although I see Glum Hippo left, so may have missed the dance. Woohoo! Thank you, Zach. Thank you. Thank you very much, Glum Hippo. Greatly appreciate the support. And thank you as Nicholas as well, who became a member right before the break. Alrighty, so I have been trying to do one of my past puzzles every other stream or so to sort of go through those. So this puzzle actually, for those of you who have recently done or seen Reef, this is sort of the puzzle that Reef was made as a sequel to. But the rule set is somewhat different. But let us have a look at Ouroboros. So I remember the break-in for this one gave Simon fits. So we'll see if we can find it or not. So what do we have here? We have normal Sudoku rules. We have to draw a single closed loop that is one cell wide and doesn't touch itself even diagonally. So a snake, but it's a snake that swallows itself, hence the title Ouroboros. And within each cage, the shaded cells and the unshaded cells sum to the same number. Okay. And the circled cells contain the number of cells that are part of the loop among the nine including itself, as well as orthogonally and diagonally adjacent cells. So if this was a 9, it would say that all of these are part of the snake, which probably is not true, because that would probably break all kinds of snake laws. Okay, so I guess it's worth noting that these circles in the corners are fairly restricted. They can't be they could be a 1, can't they? They can just get away with being 1. They certainly can't be 4. So these are 1, 2, or 3 only. So the snake could go through the corner like that. Oh, actually, this one can't be 3 for sure. Because if this was 3, what would the snake have to do? It would have to do this, but now this cage is entirely shaded. That does not work. Yeah, bet tree, I do not know. If someone wants to go look in Simon Solve and tell me what the last cell Simon filled in was, I will place that as a bet tree. Okay, so this can only be a 1 or a 2, which means in particular this cell's definitely unshaded for lots of reasons. Oh, no, you're right. Sorry. If it's 3, it could be 3. Sorry, Ranks is right. It could be 3 if the snake did that. The thing I actually argued is that this cell's green. Because if this cell was shaded, that was the problem. This cell has to be odd is a good point, because this cage definitely has an even total, and this cage has an even total. So this is odd. It is true, actually. It being 3 would break the sum, is the point. Because if this is a 3, now it's obligated to look like this for the snake. But now I have 3 shaded cells summing to 3. So this definitely is not a 3. 1 is probably also a pretty big problem, because if this is a 1... no, I guess 1 is okay if it did that. I think that would be okay. Because then I'd have these 3 summing to that one. That's probably fine. Okay. Let's see, I'm being told I can do a similar thing down here. Maybe that is correct. If this is 3, again, yeah, if this is 3... I'd have the snake have to look like this again, and that still doesn't work because I can't have the sum of 4 digits being equal to 3. So this also can't be 3. These are 1 or 2. Can 4 cells sum to 3? Who knows? It is hard to say with any certitude. Okay. So, like, are there any additional cells we now know cannot be snake? Because the snake is kind of forced if it takes one of these 2 corners. Oh. The snake always takes this cell, right? Isn't that the point? Because if... the snake needs to take one of these 3 cells, and if it takes that one, it takes that cell, and if it takes that one, it takes this cell. So this cell's always part of the snake, regardless of what the snake does. And I think we actually know the snake needs to take one of these 2. Because if the snake takes neither of these 2, I think then that creates a problem as well. Because if the snake takes neither of these 2... Oh, no, that's true. Yeah, it is true that we get the parity of this for the same reason. This cell definitely has even parity. So this has to have odd parity. Sorry, I think this being a 1 is still just possible if the... if the snake does exactly that kind of thing. Would that break this cage? I'm not sure. Yeah, it is true. There are some numbers that this obviously isn't. Like, for example, 9 would make a snake that's definitely not a snake. 1 would mean the one shaded cell in this cage summed to a bunch of other things. So we can at least do that. I can probably rule out 3 with some math if I really want to. Oh, I just can't cram 7. The only way I can put 7 cells that are shaded in here is to do that. But that breaks because I'm now saying 7 cells sum to 1 cell. So that does not work, and I think there's no other clever way to do it that doesn't break the rules of what being a snake means to me. Is this being a 3 really possible? What does this being a 3 look like? Oh, right. This being a 3 looks like that, or something of that nature. So this being a 3 means it actually does go through it. Whereas if this is a 1, it does that. Wait, is this digit always by itself? I think this digit's always the sum of the other 3 regardless. I just don't know how it looks. Because if this is a 3, it certainly looks like this. And if this is a 1, it certainly looks like this. So yeah, this cell's always the sum of those 3. So yeah, so we have some, we can use our sort of alternate shading cells to sort of indicate, I don't know which of these is snake. Is there any way around this? Oh, right. Sorry, it could zigzag like that. Never mind. It's not quite true. It's almost true. It's not quite true. I should probably think about the 9 also. In terms of what this would look like in various options. So if this is only a 1, the snake is going to have to look like this. That's probably fine, actually. Because I could have 9 plus something equals the sum of these 3. That seems okay. So fun fact, the original version of this puzzle did not have this 9, but it turned out I was missing something. I have no recollection what. All I recall is that I sent this to a tester without the 9, and the tester came back and said, I can prove the grid has a unique solution, but at no point did I find any logical step that helped me do something else, because I had missed a case. This is the one time, I think the only time I remember where I sent something to a tester that actually I had made a genuine logical error in setting it, where I assumed something and the 9 fortunately fixed it, but I don't remember exactly what was intended or anything of that sort. The fact that all 3 of these are large because these are all at least 3, does tell me these 3 aren't all the same color, but I don't quite see what to do with that as of yet. Let's see. So in some universe... Oh, right. Maybe that's the point. How many of these can really be green? I guess these could both be green if this is a 9. I realize it's probably poor that I have been making the snake green and the snake gray and not the snake green. But the fact that these numbers are at least as big as 3 is interesting. But I don't quite see what to do with it. Let's see. Should I think about math up here? I don't quite see it. It's like the reef question would be to ask whether this can really be a 3-1 split, and if this can be a 3-1 split, and what it has to look like in order to make that actually work. But the 1-2 pair here has to be meaningful, but I think it might be for the next step, not for this one. Let's see. Okay, Garion says if this is a 1, we run out of low digits. Okay, so let's look at the world where this is a 1. If this is a 1... yes. Okay, so if this is a 1, then the world looks like this. Now, I certainly need another shaded cell in this cage, so it'll have to be that one. But then I do that, and now the point is these 3 cells sum to a single-digit number, and these 3 cells sum to a single-digit number, right? And so I can't have that, because I have 6 cells that together sum to at most 17, or I guess at most 18, but it still doesn't work. So yeah, I agree. Yes, if this is a 1, I actually force 2 separate 3-cell single-digit sums within the box. Got it. So this is in fact a 2. And we get to bring out Zach for that. Woohoo! Woohoo! Thank you, Zach. Thank you. So that's a 1, and that's going to give us a lot of real estate, because now I only get to shade 1 cell over here, and it has to connect like that, because I need to shade at least 2 things in this cage, or it's not going to work, which is going to force those to be shaded, those to be unshaded, this to be unshaded. Snake can't touch itself diagonally, so those are unshaded. Yes, Selena, you missed getting to make fun of a grid with arrows, which means that's going to be shaded. That's going to be shaded. Aha! And so now the point is that's not shaded, because if this was shaded, I would now have these 3 summing to at least 12. So the 1-2 pair I was looking at here and thinking was going to do something did not, in fact, do something in the break-in, but it does something now. So we've got that. Now, I don't know if this is going to be... So these are at least... So if this is gray, I've got a minimum of 3, 4, 1. It would be a minimum of 8. 3, 4, 1 is just possible, I'm afraid. Is this cage forced? Oh, right. The snake can't come here at all, because if this was the snake couldn't get out. So let's do that simple thing first. If the snake comes here, the snake is now pinched over here, so the snake does not go there. And so that's the second one. This is a corner, which is going to get spread out like that. Going to make that green and that green. Like that. So this is now a 2, 3, 4 with a 9. because these three need to sum to a single-digit number, and that number can only be 9. Okay, so now these two cells sum to a minimum of 6, I guess. That's maybe not super exciting. But now certainly I can't make that gray, because now these sum to a minimum of 5, 6. These two sum to a minimum of 11, so I certainly need an extra green cell, which forces the gray up here, forces the gray up here. Okay, so now these are 5, 6, 7, 8. And so how big can this possibly be? So this is at least 11. So this needs to be at least 3. Anyway, that's suspicious. So this is 3 or 4. Just by counting, is being pointed out. And the fact that this is 3 or 4 by counting is maybe going to be interesting. Oh, right. Digits can't repeat within cages. So the maximum this cage can possibly sum to is 15, because the two shaded cells can't sum to more than 15, but also 15 is the minimum. So in fact, actually, people are pointing out, and this is totally correct, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with a 7, 8, making that not 7 or 8. Okay, yes, agree with all of that. So, so this digit is interesting. Just to make that math work out. Right. This 7, 8 has to go somewhere in this mess, is J. Dyer's point. Oh, no, sorry. J. Dyer's point is the opposite. This 7, 8 has to go in one of these two cells. Sorry. So that means these grays actually, that means that can't be gray. That's a great spot. So this gray goes in one of these two, which means if this was gray, the minimum sum would be 10 for that green cell. So this is not gray. This is green, which makes that gray. But apparently that's not at all Jay's point. Is Jay's point that this can't be a 5 or 6? I think Jay's point is that this can't be a 5 or 6. Because if this is a 5 or 6, these sum to 15, but I can't get 5 or 6 plus a single digit that's not 9 to sum to 15. So Jay's point is that this really is 7 or 8. Let's see. So what are the real possibilities for this number? It's not 4. Oh, well, there's a good point. This can't be gray. If this is gray, then I would force all of this to be green, and then this circle would be a 4, but it can't sudoku-logically be a 4, so this is green, and that's gray. And now, this still can't be a 4, so that can't be green, because if that was green, it would be a 4. So in fact, that's gray and that's gray, which forces that to be exactly a 5. Means that's not a 5, and lets me green off all kinds of territory from the no snake touchy rule. Snake goes up here for sure. Let's see. So these are some assortment of numbers that don't include 3 or 4. I know there's a 7 or 8 here. for whatever that is worth. I'm sure it will be exciting at some point that that's true. Oh, this has become a 3 while I was not looking. So there are no 3s in the rest of those cells. There is a 3 in one of these cells, and it's not that one. Oh, I guess it could be a 3, can't it? If this is a 3... it's a 3 because it just counts the number of shaded cells in this region, Jonathan. So 3 can just barely go there. But now Ranks is correct. This digit is now forced to be odd because this is an even sum, and that's an even sum, so this needs to be odd. So it's 1, 3, 5, 7, or 9, except of those it can only be 5 because 1, 3, 7, and 9 are gone. So that's a 6. And so now 3 can't be here now that we have filled that in, because now if 3 were here, I would need... this would sum to a maximum of 11, but this sums to a minimum of 12. So now that does place the 3 here, because the 3 here makes these sum to too small. Kelly, the automatic pencil marks are a little tricky to get. They're from a plugin by Chameleon. If you go to Chameleon's GitHub page, you can download them. I think they also require Tamper Monkey, though. But they're, I think, despite promises that we should actually make a nice string of instructions, I don't think there's anywhere that it's written down a nice, concise way to do this. This is now the only place for 5 in this cage, by the way. So now this digit's a 5. So 5 and 7 would make this 8 and 4. 5 and 8 would make this 7 and 6. Okay. We'll figure this out. We've only got a couple digits left over here. There aren't 7 or 8. Probably only one of these works. Ranks has given you a link that will at least get you there to the start of it, Kelly. So 1 plus 6 plus 2 would be 9. That's not enough, so we'd better make this a 1 plus 6 plus 4. And so hopefully these sum to 11, and they do, making those also sum to 11, and they do. So no 2 there, no 4 there. Let's go ahead and fill in these digits as well. None of those are 7 or 8 because there's a 7-8 pair in the box. Okay, so if this is 1 or 2, it's too small. That's the point. If this is 1 or 2, it's too small. Oh, if you've already got Tamper Monkey, then yeah, then it should be easy. If this is 1 or 2, the maximum sum here is 10, but the minimum sum here is much larger than that. So therefore, this is a 6. This is a 2 by the row, and so that's not a 2. Okay, I can probably figure this out. 5 plus 8 is equal to 6 plus 7 to make that work. The other way around would not work. The numbers would not end up being equal to each other. This is a 1, 4, 9 triple, so those aren't 1. This has become a 3, has been pointed out, which means these two are always shaded. Because I either do that or I do that. But whichever I do, it also means these two are shaded. Let us have a look now over here. So there is a 1 in here. So because there's a 1 in here, the sum of this cage can only be 8 or 9. Which means this number is minuscule, because the sum is either 1, 7 or 1, 8. So it's 8 or 9. So this is at most a 3, because the absolute maximum possible sum is 9. Going with that is interesting. That 1, 2, 3 makes it kind of suspicious. Oh, yeah, if this were 1, that would mean that this digit... Oh, there's lots of problems with it being 1, but among them is the one Ranks says that it would repeat 1 in the cage. I was going to say it would repeat this digit in the box, but yeah, so that means this can't be an 8 because, yeah, there's already a 1 down there. And that means there's always a 7 in here because either this is a 7 or it's 1. Oh, maybe not. Sorry, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it doesn't mean there's always a 7. Yeah, there might still be options here. Okay, this has become a 1, which is certainly useful in terms of snake drawing. So we can draw in some snake like that. Box 5 shading I can do because that 5 is now useful because I now know those are shaded, so that's not. Right. J. Dyer is pointing out this is always unshaded, which is definitely true, because if this was shaded, it would shade that cell, and now the entire cage would be shaded. So that's always unshaded, regardless of how that all works out. Let's see. The 5 in this box is in one of those two cells for whatever it's worth. Right. So Jay's pointing out that her point is actually potent now in combination with this, because if this snake from here goes here, then it comes up here, and now this end of the snake has absolutely nowhere it can go. So in fact, the snake actually just goes straight up there, making that green as well. This certainly isn't snake now, because the snake would dead end, which would be a problem for a snake that has a thing that is a problem. If this becomes shaded, oh, sorry, this just is always unshaded. Let's start there. But now Ranks' point is if this becomes shaded, this would have to be a 9. I don't see why that's a problem. Oh, it's a problem because it's in a circle. That's why it's a problem. Right. If this is shaded, now I've got 3 shaded cells summing to this cell, but no 1. So 2, 3, 4 would be the minimum. That would make this circle a 9. That's not going to work. So this can't be shaded. It's got to be unshaded. And that's shaded. Good spot to Ransk. Snake doesn't sort of abut there. So this snake actually comes up like this, which actually makes this a 7. Makes that not a 7. And now this digit is the sum of these 3 digits. It's not a 6 or a 7, so this can only be an 8 or a 9. Those are the only possibilities based on that. Nicholas is correct. I can green those cells if I would like. So if it's 8, it's either 1, 3, 4. So there's always a 1 in here for what it's worth. Minuscule amounts, I think. Yes, minuscule amounts is what I'm going to go with. But there's no 5 here. Yeah, Sayori has spotted something more immediately useful, which is that we get this 9, 2, 3, 4 business because it's a 3-cell sum to a single-digit number without a 1. So you get this 9, 2, 3, 4 thing, which is going to give us that there's no 4 in this cage by Jovi logic. So there's a 4 over here somewhere. Again, the Jovi logic, if you've not seen it, is that the 4s in column 7 and 8, there's 2 of them, and I know where they are. One of them's there and one of them's there, so there aren't any extras. And so the 4 in column 9, therefore, has to go over there. So this cage now doesn't have a 4 in it. And it doesn't have a 5 in it either by Sudoku. And so, therefore, this is not an 8 cage, because an 8 cage needs a 4 or a 5. So this is a 9 cage. And it's a 9 cage with a 1 and no 5. So it's not 1, 3, 5, it's 1, 2, 6. Which makes that a 3, which makes that a 6. Makes these a 1, 8, which makes that a 7, a 4, and a 3, and a 2, and a 4, and a 1, and an 8, and a 1, and a 7, and an 8. Digits everywhere from that. Let's see. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's an 8. So these are only a handful of things. That's a 5, and that is a 6. That's now only a handful of 7s. These I'm going to fill in, not because I think they're filled in, but actually that one is. These are a 4, 8 pair. No, not a 4, 4 pair. 4, 8 pair. Very close to a 4, 4 pair, I suppose. If the snake doesn't go here, then the snake comes up here, and then I only get one gray cell in this whole 5-cell region, which means I have 4 digits summing to 1 digit, which doesn't work. So the snake has to come here, is the thing that I next see in my calculation of these things. Let's see. So this is a 3-cell sum to exactly 20. I should probably think about that. A 3-cell sum to 20 with no 5. So it can't have both a 9 and an 8, because 9 and 8 would go... No, 9 and 8 would go a 3. It has to have a 9, though, because if I don't use a 9 and I want to get to 20, then I have to do 8, 7, and 5. So there is a 9 in one of these 2 cells. So we've got that. Okay, so Carl says it's 983 or 974. So there's still a little bit of optionality, but there's definitely a 9 there. So there's a 9 up here, and it's not there. And it's not there either, so actually the 9 is placed here. The 9 can't be here, because I'd be saying 9 plus another digit is equal to this digit, which would be a problem. So what can we do with that? Let's see. Is there more Sudoku to be done usefully? Probably. Yeah, so Rank suggests maybe we should hit the mark button here. Well, this is already at least 2, and it's never as much as 8. So this is only 2 or 4 ever. This is apparently always 8, so that's a 6. So no 6s there. So I'm going to mark these because it's going to be interesting. So those are a 6, 7 pair, and that's the 5, if I'd have paid attention. So if this is a 6, I would need these to be 2, 4 exactly. And if this was a 7, I would need these to be 3, 4 exactly. Okay, so this is either a 6 with a 2, 4 or a 7 with a 3, 4. There's always a 4 here, which means that's a 1 and that's a 4. Coming over here, no 1 goes there. This cell's always green, because otherwise the snake would branch. The 4 pencil marks do indeed look up, which make this a 2, 7, 9, which now means this can't be a 2, so it's a 4, and that's a 1. Good. Yeah, that could be gray. Oh, there was just no way this could ever be a 2, because wherever this is going, it's either going there or there, and both of those are making this more than 2. So this being a 2 was just not at all possible, unless the snake ended, which the snake was not supposed to end. Okay, so let's see. Jay says the cage has to be 1, 2, 4, 7. If I try and put a 9 here, I just can't make 9 the sum of the other 3. And I can't make any of the others work. Maybe, possibly. Let me fill in other stuff, and then I'll do it if I have to. These are a 2, 8 pair, which means that these aren't 2. These are a 3, 4 pair, which means that's a 7, and that's a 6. So these are... Yep, the internet came back at some point. 2, 4, 6, 8, almost. Let's see. Let's try these. There's definitely a 6 there. Okay. These 2 cells. No, maybe I don't want to think about that. So, is the question, can this be snake? No, that's fine. I know there's a 7 or a 9. I'm trying to understand, because Jay believes this always has to be 1, 2, 4, and 7, which I would believe. Yeah, probably I should do Sudoku rather than doing brute force. So let's see. So let's see if there's any Sudoku that leaps out as we do this. So that can't be a 2, right? Because if this was a 2, I would never get to this sum being large enough. So that is not a 2. There's a 7-9 pair here. That seems very useful. Let's use that. So that's a 7, and that's an 8, and that's a 5, and that's a 7. Okay, that's gonna do it. So that's gonna be a 6. So no 6 or 8, no 6 or 8, no 7. Okay, now I'm summing. Now these two numbers need to sum to 13. And so one of them had better not be a 3. So now that's a 9 and that's a 4. Okay, and so now we've got a lot of stuff happening. These are a 1, 3 pair. That's a 6. That's a 2. So that has become a 7, a 3, and a 4, and a 2, and an 8, and a 6, and a 2. So no 2, 4, or 8. No 2, 2, 9. That has become a 4. Okay, so this needs to be gray, or this cage sums to, or the gray sums to too little. So that's always gray. And so now I think we probably don't have to torture ourselves too much to figure out how this has to work out. Because, well, this is now definitely green. And so if there's no more green, the green sum is 6, and the gray sum is too many. I guess you could just ask yourself, what is the total sum of these numbers? The total sum is 14, so the sum I'm going for is 7. So therefore, I have to do that, whichever way you want to do it. That was apparently forcible way earlier, is what I am told by chat on good authority. And so I have all of this. I have to actually make this sum work. 9 is equal to, that's got to be a 1, a 9, a 3, a 3, a 1, a 9, and a 1. And there we go. I was thinking it was going to be something like if the sum tried to be 9, or if I tried to not put a 9 in the box, it was going to be, it was going to end up forcing the sum to be like a 1/2 number or something. Zeta, for many years before there were solution codes, did not include a solution code. Shocking. But yeah, so and I will say Simon solved this on Cracking the Cryptic. So if you want to go back and watch Simon solve it, you can go back and watch that as well. So that is also an option. And I think I get to live in a little bit of fear because the next puzzle in the list, whenever we do this next, the next puzzle is elements of Sudoku. So we get to do that, which will be a fun adventure and will be fun to talk about. So if you've never done elements of Sudoku, you can do it before then if you don't want me to spoil every detail about how the sort of puzzle hunt thing works out. But I will do it and get to talk about how I thought about all of it and how I came up with it, because it's kind of a crazy puzzle, to put it mildly. All right. So I am going to take a break real quick and be right back, and we'll do another puzzle. Not by me, I promise. Alrighty, welcome back. So I have here a modular line puzzle. I did recently set a puzzle that featured a modular line. So the way that modular lines work is a lot like entropic lines. So if you've not seen this, a modular line takes these three groups and alternates these three groups in some pattern along the line. So every three consecutive ones have to have 1, 1, 4, 7, 1, 2, 5, 8, and 1, 3, 6, 9. And if you're curious why this random selection of numbers, it's because this random selection of numbers corresponds to the remainder when you divide by 3. So these are the three things that are remainder 0 when you divide by 3. These are the three things that are remainder 1 when you divide by 3. And these are the three things that are remainder 2 when you divide by 3. So we're going to have a little pattern sort of bouncing around the grid that alternates between these three in some order. And then we're also going to have regular old killer cages, which tell us the sum of the digits in the cage. So I'm going to try and color this to start, and then chat will tell me I have done it wrong, as is our tradition. I'm already trying to do it wrong. 1, 2, 3. Okay, skip 2, skip 2, skip 2, skip 2, skip 2, skip 2. There we go. So those are our yellows. Purples, purples, purples. and these are our greens, if I did this correctly. Let's see. I do not know what I should pick for a bet tree, so I'm just going to pick there without too much careful thought about it. Okay, so there are 2 purples in this column and 2 purples in this row. That's already very suspicious to me. So let us have a... Am I supposed to do row 5 and... or sorry, row 6 and column 6? I feel like I'm supposed to do row 6 and column 6 math, I think is the point. Maybe possible. Ah, stop it. Is this it? I don't think so. It's suspicious, though, because I noticed that these cages all happen to have sums divisible by 3. But I want to double that number if I'm combining those rows and columns, so I don't think that's quite it. But what else am I going to do? Let's see. Oh, I've got 2 greens and 2 yellows in this row, and 2 greens and 2 yellows in this row, and 2 greens and 2 yellows in this column, and 2 greens and 2 yellows in that column. So there's something there. Let's see. $15 is always one of each. That's believable. So, or 2, 5, 8. What about 12? Does 12 need to have one of each? No, it could be 1, 4, 7. So 12. So when you have a number divisible by 3, it's either all of 1. Oh, 10 is not divisible by 3, as in my head it was the first few times I checked. So the 12 and 15 are either all of one type or are one of each type. And if it's all of one, that one is not purple. And if there is a purple in this cage, that purple has to go exactly there. So if this is all of one, it's green. Because it can't be purple and it can't be yellow. And if this is one of each, then that cell is exactly as purple. Which is interesting. And the 12 cage is either one of each or all of one. And of course, if it's all of one, can I rule out it being all of one in some clever fashion that I'm not appreciating? It's certainly not all purple for lots of reasons. But is there a reason why this can't be 1, 4, 7? Let's see. Oh, sorry, I can put a purple like here and a purple up there or something. Yeah, I guess you're right. I'm still feel like row 6 and column 6 and the purples is what this puzzle's about, but I am not sure. Yeah, the fact that the 15 cage and the 12 cage are both either all of one or one of each is interesting. That is sort of what we've focused on so far, is that the 12 and 15 cages both have this property, Ransk. Is it possible that these are both one of each? I think it's possible that these are both one of each, annoyingly. There could be a purple in here and then a purple there. Yeah, a 10 cage always has 2 of one and 1 of another, Ambrose points out, because it can't have 3 of one because it would be divisible by 3, and it can't have 3 different because then it would be divisible by 3, and the only other option is 2 of one and 1 of another. And so I guess clearly the one that there's 2 of isn't purple. But yeah, there's 2 of something in the 10 cage. And the same is true of any of the not divisible by 3 ones. So the 14 and the 16, this 16, each have 2 of ones. 2 of one and 1 of another. It could be. So I was immediately inclined to think about stuff that's sort of like set adjacent Ambrose. My first instinct was to sum row 6 and column 6. Maybe I want to think about summing row 6 and column 6 anyway. That's exactly what I thought the point was, Rengsk, was to say that, something about that. But I don't quite get there. But I feel like row 6, column 6 is purple. It has to be the conclusion of whatever it is I'm trying to do, but I don't know. But if I do sum column 6 and row 6, I get a multiple of 3. And then if I take away these, I have a multiple of 3. And so I've got that one. And I've got that one. I've got that one. And then I can just take away 3 purples, and I've got a multiple of 3. And I can take away the 15 cage and have a multiple of 3 if I do that. So I've still got... Oh, no, I've taken that one away because I took away this cage. And I've taken that away. So I've got the 10 cage and these random nonsenses and that single cell and 1 purple. This doesn't quite feel like it quite is going to get me somewhere, but it feels like the kind of thing I might envision. 3 purples is a multiple of 3 regardless of whether they're distinct or not, Ambrose? 3 purples will always sum to a multiple of 3. It doesn't matter what they are. Because purple is a fixed thing, mod 3. And so purple, if you add 1 to itself, mod 3 times. If you add 2 to itself, mod 3 times. It doesn't matter. 3 purples are always going to sum to a multiple of 3. So Selena has figured out some sort of like firework thing to say that this has to be purple, I'm guessing. This does look sort of fireworky if we look at row 8 and column 8. And so if this is not purple, then I need to dream up 3 purples over here and 3 purples over here, and that's going to cause some sort of problem. When you say low, Medi, do you mean 1 mod 4? Uh, uh, Purples in row 2 and row 8. Uh, 2 and row 8. I don't think I know anything about purples in these rows, other than that these aren't purple, of course. Um, okay, so between these two, so this is some sort of like jellyfish kind of thing that Selena is constructing. So between these two rows, we need a total of 6 purples, and only one of those can go in column 9, and only one of them can go in column 6. Is Selena's argument. And only one of them, sorry, only 2 of them at most can go in box 1. So at least one of these 2 is purple. Only one in column 3 as well. Right, okay, so only one of these 2, only one of these 2, only one of these 2. Let me just highlight these cells in gray for a second, and let me give these pairs names. So only one of these 2, only one of these 2, only one of these 2 can be a purple. And I still need, so that is 3 of my 6 purples. I still need 2 more purples, and only one of these 2. Oh, sorry, no, that's not true. Sorry, but there's some overlap there that's sort of destructive. So I see a lot of pressure here. I'm trying to understand what this has to do with row 8, column 8. Then I eat up. Oh, you do the same thing in column 2 and column 8. Okay, so let's do the same thing in column 2 and column 8 with dark gray. I will let ranks tell me this is just a firework in a second. So now when I do this in row 2, in column 2 and column 8, and then I look here, I'm just going to keep inventing colors. So of circle, so I can only use one of those 2, and I can only use one of these 2, and I can only use one of these 2. So I mean, is there an easy set way to see this? This does not seem like, I can't imagine this is quite what was intended. But I suspect, yeah, I'm trying to figure out, is there some way I can like draw in rows and columns and have this be like more clear what is happening because the intersections are at these points? But I can't quite see exactly what it is that we're doing. But I don't quite see what this means about row 8, column 8, or how that is helpful. Yeah, so let's start over. So yeah, so if we try and uh okay, so I 2 and row 8, column 2 and column 8, have the same digits, but we can cancel all of the overlaps from those. So we can say, okay, no oranges anymore, and no blues anymore. So orange and blue are the same digits, and we can cancel out the orange and the blue. And so, but this seems like it's going to get me the opposite, because the thing that's canceled in this equivalence is row 8, column 8. And so if we're trying to prove something about row 8, column 8, it seems like it can't be this equivalence. Uh, so, I mean, I assume that this is the thing we're supposed to be looking at, but we're looking at it from a weird angle. And so I think we probably are looking, and by we, I mean Selena, are probably looking at the right idea from the wrong direction. Okay, so I'm going to redo my entropic coloring with circles. But like, this is too big of a coincidence to not be the intended thing. I think we just need to figure out what the right lens is to see it from. Okay, we're going to redo this so that we can do our thing. And a boop. Okay. So row 3 and 6 can make those blue versus maybe row 3, 6, and 9, actually, versus column 2, 4, and 8. Okay, so let's make those orange. And so we can get rid of our overlaps. Like that. Okay, and so we know that in the orange cells, we are obligated to put a total of 5 purples. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, it's a total of 6 purples. We need a total of 6 purples in the orange cells, and they're not in any of these orange cells that I have highlighted and deleted for the moment. So there are a total of 6 oranges. Oh, I somehow missed an overlap. So there are a total of 6 purples in these orange cells that are not these, which is a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. How is it 7? 7 is a weird number. Did I just not delete something? But the if what I did is correct, which I think it is, only 2 of these can be. So all of these must be purple is the conclusion if I did this right. Which is cool. Yeah, I think I did this right, unless I deleted something I wasn't supposed to. So I think the conclusion is that all of these are purple circle. That one, that one, that one, and that one. And of course, 2 of these 3 are purple circle. So nothing else in this row can be purple circle. Those are the only 2 of these 3 things are potentially purple circle, and nothing else in the row. Add row 1. So let me put back the oranges, because I if I'm gonna add in things, I need to actually do it correctly, and then do it there. Column 5. Add that to the orange. We'll add that to the blue. Remove the overlap, which includes these, which I for some reason did not include. We'll just delete those colors. Oh, and that one should not have a color anymore. That one shouldn't have a color anymore. That looks right. Okay, and so there are... This looks... Wait, how did column 4 get in there? Oh, no, sorry. Column 4 just now has the purples that I marked before. So in blue, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 purples. And in orange, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 purples. And so let's remove the things that can't possibly be purple from orange. And so I need to fit, again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I need to fit 7 purples into orange, which I guess is going to mean... Have fun, Jay. Really loved Coral Creek earlier. And so, oh, right, this one can't be. Okay, and so now I need 7 of these 7 cells to be purple. This is nuts. So all of those are purple. That is bizonk. So what we have done here is, by counting where the purples go in rows and columns, placed a giant pile of purples and resolved what color, or what this 15 cage is. So let's get rid of all the color now, and let's fill in what we actually know. Because now the 15 cage is not one of each. And so if it's not one of each, it must be 369. Sorry, not 369. It must be 258. So this is 258 exactly. And so 258 is green. And again, the reason for that is because the 15 cage had to be either one of each or all of one. And it can't be one of each if all the purples are gone. So green is 258. And so we can go to all the green circles and fill in 258. And now we can fill in that these are the yellows for the box. Now, this 10 cage had to be 2 of one and 1 of the other. So this is definitely a yellow-green mix. Uh-oh, I screwed this up somehow. Oh, no, it's a yellow-purple mix. It's a yellow-purple mix. Right, so this is a yellow and a purple. So the 12 cage was either going to be 1 of each or all of 1, 4, and 7. How do I know whether it's all yellow or 1 of each? I don't see that yet. I'm going to switch back to colors because it's going to be much easier to work with if I make these colors again. These are green. And that's green. And now I can go on the pen tool and delete those for now. Okay. oops, and put a random yellow X there. Okay. So there's all the purples in this column. So these are only yellow or green, and these are only yellow or green. So I'm going to mark that these are yellow or green without being too thoughtful about it. These are definitely a purple and a yellow. Exactly. And so, in fact, this is a... I'm going to put a line over here just to mark that I know these are different. And so there's at most one more yellow in this box here, which means the last yellow in the column is down here. Because these can't... There can't be all the yellows there if there has to be a yellow over here. So that is yellow for sure. Also, one of these is the last yellow for the column, so that's green for sure. So we've got that sort of filling in slowly. Okay, these cells are all purple or green. I am going to mark. That's a really smart spot. So Garion is pointing out that I know which one yellow is now. Because if yellow was 147, two yellows would be 2 mod 3, and I would need to... Right. If yellow were 147, I would need a third yellow to get to 10, right? No, that doesn't work. No. Two yellows would be 2 mod 3. I want to get to 10, which is 1 mod 3. I'd need a green, right? I'd need 2 mod 3, right? So if I put any two yellows in here in order to get to a 1 mod 3 number, I'd need a green, but there's no green in this cage. So yellow is not 147, and therefore yellow is 369. That is a very good observation. So yellow is 369, and therefore purple is the other one. Purple is 147. I don't know why in my head I was 100% sure purple was going to be 369, but whatever. It turns out it's 147. And so that does tell me that this is one of each. Because the 12 cage, if it was all yellow, would sum to 15. So this is a green and a purple. Green and purple. And so these two are different. I'm just going to mark for myself. These two have to be yellow just to finish the yellows in the box, actually. And so these cells are not green, and they're not purple. So these are both yellow now. So these are 369. So these are a green-purple pair for sure, for whatever that is worth. Yes. So this is 3, 6, and 1. So certainly there's two yellows in here, and neither of them are 9, is Carl's point. So this is 3, 6, and 1 is Carl's point, which is certainly correct. Now, yeah, these are 3, 6, 9. Yes, that does tell me that these are a 4, 7 pair. So one of these is 1 for sure. Yeah, the bet tree did go away. I don't remember where it was, though. 9 corner marks in column 7. Right, I know one of these is 9, I guess. Yep, because one of these is the yellow 9, so these aren't 9. should probably relocate the bet tree down to something like over here. Yeah, the poor tree. But we should probably relocate it off of the 147 pencil mark just for safety. These are certainly an orange. An orange. These are certainly a green-purple pair. I don't know where the orange came from. Okay, so the orange may have been completely off. Okay, so the remaining digits need to add to 1 mod 3. So there's a few ways to do that, I believe, if I think about it carefully. Okay, these I know are green purple, just for sake of thinking about it. Let's see. Okay, so I've got a green. So I've got only greens and purples in the 16 cage so far, which would be okay. I could have 2 greens and a purple, or 2 purples and a green. Well, which would it be? Would it be 2 greens and a purple, or 2 purples and a green? Oh, it can't. Oh, but I don't know if these are the same or not. That's the problem. If I knew these were opposites, it would tell me what this was, but I don't know that these are opposites. Unfortunately, as things currently sit. Let us see. Does the 14 cage have to be 1 green and 2 yellows? So let us have a look. So it can't be any 2 purple digits involved. So we can't use a 4 and a 7, for example. We can't use a 1 and a 7. So we can rule out all of those. And so then do I always use a 1, 4, or 7 is a good question. No, sadly, there's that 2, 3, 9 possibility. These two need to sum to 0. So they're either a blue-green pair. Sorry. They're either a green-yellow. No, sorry. They're either a purple-green. Wow, I cannot do colors today. These are either a purple-green pair or they are 2 yellows. So purple-green pair would make these both yellow. Hey, pause. Or if they're 2 yellows, that would make these a purple-green pair. Or some sort of thing that would make the purple and green, because we've only got things over there. There's some symmetric purpling if we want to redo the set thing that would put a couple more purples into the grid if we believe that there's perfect symmetry. I don't know if there's perfect symmetry or not. Oh, there's definitely not because of that cell. I think maybe not, but we could try and redo the set thing if we had to. And to do it the other way and see if it worked out. I'd have to do that in a separate grid, which is why I'm trying not to do it at the moment, but I might have to give up and do that. Okay, let's see. So let's open a blank copy of this puzzle. Put that over here. Oh, we need to restart. Do not worry. I kept the original. So the point was that we had yellow going up here. Yellow, 1, 2, 3. Yellow, 1, 2, 3. Yellow, 1, 2, 3. 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 2, 3. And then I used purple next. 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Immediately after all the yellows. And then green for the other. So I can salvage a lot more from the stuff that I did, and I can also do it the other way if I want. So let's start with the thing we did before, which was to take. Oh, there's another green. That is a good spot. I don't remember what we did before, actually. It was too long ago. What were our rows and columns before? Does anyone remember? Was it like all the rows with purple and all the columns with green and yellow? Like, was it these? I think it was these. So I think it was, we were saying this set is equivalent to this one. No, 2, 4, 5. Okay, it was 2, 4, 5, 8. Okay, so this one is equivalent to this one. No, Ambrose, but people want me to do the set thing again, and I just can't do that on this grid, so I'm doing it over here, and then I'm going to copy anything we learn over to there is my plan. Okay, so because I can't with circles record things that can't be green or yellow. And so the point was that if I sort of take all of these away, color-wise, that now we have 7 purples and blue, so we need 7 purples and yellow, and they go exactly here. That was our conclusion. But we also know that none of the blue cells can be purple anymore, because if even a single other blue cell would be purple, we would have to put another purple into yellow, and there's no room for another purple. I'd say a counting puzzle, not a set puzzle. But, you know, whatever. It's not disgusting. I'll put it that way. I am enjoying this puzzle. So, for example, these cells are not purple. So they are green and yellow. These cells are green and yellow. I broadly think of set as the worst thing that happened to Sudoku, so I generally don't view it in a positive light. But I do really like puzzles that involve counting specific subsets of 3 digits. Usually it's 1, 2, 3s that you end up counting. But one particular point is that this is not purple, because that is that cell. And so this is also green or yellow, but this is not purple, so it's yellow, and so this is not yellow, it is purple. And so that is 3, 6, and that is a 1. So we have that. That's right, we get a 1 dance. We can bring in Zach. Ba-boop-ba-doo, woo! Ba-doo-ba-doo, whoa! Ba-doo-ba-doo, whoa! a Tristan. A one dance and a Tristan. What more could you want?
I see a digit dance.
We did get a digit dance. It's true. Let's see. Is there one of these I know is not? No, there is not. Let's see. I've not finished copying all of this information yet. I know this cell's not purple. So therefore, this cell is purple because I knew they were different. So we get that. Let's see, where else do we have? We also know, okay, those I already knew. The bet tree is not purple. I'm going to recall it's green or yellow.
Hey, Chad.
And then these two cells are not purple. They are green or yellow. Okay, I think we have now milked everything out of this that we could from that side of things. And then we have to decide if we really want to do it the other way around, or if we would like to do anything else than that, if we can possibly avoid it.
Thank you, Danita.
Yeah, he's very snazzy like this. Let's see. Okay, so this 16 needs to have two of the same. Do I know what the two of the same are? There's either two greens or two purples in here. Okay, so we can get column 7's last purple there. That's a good spot. So this is a 4 or a 7 for sure. So these are all green or yellow. So yeah, there's either two greens or two purples in this 16 cage. I don't know which. And the green purples are purple, right, in column 7, right, because I don't have room for any more purples. And so these are green in order to make that work. 2, 5, 8. I would say that the potato head theorem is one of the worst things that has happened to Sudoku. There's a niche audience of people who find it entertaining, but I think set is far more off-putting than entertaining. But this is a very cool puzzle. I'm quite enjoying this because this is we have figured out how to slowly creep into understanding how we were meant to count purples in a way that is neat. That I think is very adjacent to fireworks, but not quite. 1 is claimed in column 7. That's true. One of these is a 1, so that's not. So one of these is a 1. Okay, I think I have everything out of this until I decide I want to do it the other way, if I want to do it the other way. Let's see. So now that I know that's purple, either this is also purple or these are both green. Is there a way that I can break that? Oh, I guess I know that. Okay, so if this is purple and these are both green, does that even work out mathematically? Because I should know one of these combinations, right? It doesn't work. Because I should know how to make 16 out of these things. So purple, yellow would not work. And purple, green, yellow doesn't work. Purple, yellow brings me to something which is 2 mod 3 and 16 is not. So this can't be purple, yellow. And it can't be purple, green, yellow. So this cell is just never yellow. This cell's always green. So now if it is purple, green, then that would be 1 mod 5. That's right. So purple, green is correct. And so this needs to be purple. Because if it was purple, green, That would actually sum to 2 mod 3 again. 1 and 1. No, purple, purple, green, green is right? No, purple, purple, green, green is not a thing. Purple, purple, sorry, I'm doing this wrong in my head. Right. Purple, green, green is the thing that doesn't work. Purple, green, green does not work. So it is purple, purple, green, right? And then I did exactly the opposite. Purple, purple, green brings me to the correct thing. So this is 1, 4, or 7. These are, in fact, both 1, 4, or 7. So that gets me that there are no more purples in this row. These are green or yellow. And so whatever that happens to be, that's purple now, just for sake of finishing off my purples. Suddenly I'm now trying to do anti-night, thanks to our other conversation in chat. Let's see. If these were 2, these would have to be double 7. I'm being told I'm not allowed to do that. This just in. We cannot do that. This is 4 or 7. Oops. Not yet, but I'm sure someone will tell me that from the set I can do some subcoloring. Let's see. Row 3, column 4 sees 3 yellows in the column. Agree, so it's not yellow. It is green. 2, 5, or 8 for sure. The 20 cage has 2 purples, so the remaining 2 need to add to something that is divisible by 3. And so it can't have a purple and a green, which is one of the only ways to do that. So it must be 2 yellows. So I agree the 20 cage is 2 purples and 2 yellows. There's no greens in it by math. So the greens are over here. So these are 2, 5, and 8, which means that this is really yellow. This is purple. So that's not purple. So that's not green. So we've got all of those. These are certainly green or yellow. In fact, these are a green-yellow pair, which makes that purple, and a 1 by magic makes that a 1. This is not a 1. So this is 4 or 7. This is green or yellow for sure, which means these are both purple because I need 2 more purples. This is purple because I need another purple in the column, which means this is not purple because I've got all the purples in the box. 4 or 7. So I can do some more math in the 12 cage, but I want to do coloring first if I can. Let's see. Because these are certainly a 5 and an 8. That doesn't sound right. I don't know how this decided that this worked. Row 7, column 3 could be colored. It's not purple. I don't see how this works. There are 3 yellows in row 8. I agree with that, so this is not yellow. Which makes this yellow. n to the 9, because it was the 9 we were trying to place in yellow. So we've got that, which means one of these is 9. We know one of those is 9. Oh, it's because of the 16 clue. Right. These two sum to 2 mod 3, and so I need... These sum to 2 mod 3. And so I need a 2 mod 3 number to get back to 1 mod 3, and 2 mod 3 is green. Right, okay. So yeah, by modular arithmetic, this needs to be green. So that's all the greens for the column. So no more greens up there. Those are both yellow. And I know that these are a yellow-green pair, right? I think I know that these are a yellow-green pair because they need to... These can't be green, right? Because, yeah, this needs to sum to 13. Oh, no, they're green. Okay, that explains a lot. Yeah, these are actually green. Because if they were yellow-green, then this would not sum... Right. If these were not the same color, it would sum to a multiple of 3. So these are green or yellow, but they're not yellow anymore, so they are green. Okay. Life, again, makes more sense. So these are a green-yellow pair. That's the last green for the row. That makes this yellow. Which then is the last yellow for the box, so that makes this green. So these are from 2, 5, 8. This is from 2, 5, or 8. That's all the greens for this row, so this is not green. This is a 3 or 6. Let's see, and I probably have to do now killer stuff in order to figure this out. So these two need to add to 13. They'd better be 5 and 8. Or we've got a big issue with how math has worked out in our lives. This can't be a 9 for sure, which now actually makes this a 9. Means that's not a 9. Which means one of these is a 9, which means that's not a 9. Means one of these is a 9. Let's see. So this can be 7, 3, 2, or 4, 6, 2, or 4, 3, 5. I guess there's options. From 2, 5, or 8. 1 looks up from box 9 is a good point. One of these is a 1 because we still need a 1 in the box, so that's never a 1. These could still be a 4, 7 pair, though, unfortunately. One of these is... Oh, that's a 1 just by the fact that one of these has to be a 1, and it's not that one or that one. So that's a 1. I think this still doesn't tell me anything. This is a 4 or a 7. Let's see. I probably can do something with 9s if I squint. I know one of these two is a 9, I guess. But I don't quite see what I'm doing with it yet. If I have to, I have to, but I'm hoping not to have to think about it. If this is a 2, these would need to be 7, 7. I feel like we even entered that before, but whatever. So these are... So one of those is 2, so this is not 2, which makes that a 2. Means those aren't 2. Makes that the 2 for the row. Means none of these are 2s. Which makes that a 2. That's not a 2, which makes that a 2, which makes that not a 2. Just a string of 2s going into the grid. So that places the 2 over here. Okay, excellent. So that places the 2, which means this is green and this is yellow, which is going to finally finish my coloring and make that a 9 or a blue, take your pick. So this is not yellow anymore. This is not green anymore. So we have all of that. The coloring has been completed. So now that's a 9, which I think I could have gotten without doing that. But anyway, so that's a 9 now by the column. So let's see. So yeah, one of these two is a 9. It is impossible to know the bet tree. So these are a 3, 6, by the way, making that a 9. So we've placed all the 9s in the grid, I think. Right. If this was an 8, I would need these to sum to 4, which they visibly cannot because of the 1. So that's not an 8. So that's not an 8 by a weird Jovi wing that I can't imagine matters. I'm being told 20 cages need a 9 in order to work, because this one definitely has a 1 in it. And so the only thing it could be that would have a 1 and not have a 9, actually, sorry, there's 2 options, but as you can see, the 2 options that involve an 8 instead of a 9, both don't work because that's 1, 4, 7 right there, and that's being ruled out. And 1, 5, 6 would require a 5, and we don't have one of those at all. So we need a 9. It's disgusting. So we need a 9 in here somewhere, and it's there. So that will be a 9 up there, making that a 3 or 6. Oh, plus there's just no 8 in the cage. That's actually the easier way to do it. Yes. If rather than asking this, you just ask, could there be and you could say there's always a 7, 8, or 9 in the cage. And then you can say, okay, well, there's no 8 in the cage. And could there be a 7? Well, no, because then there couldn't be a 1. It's still pretty gross, but I think it's doable. 3, 6... Okay, so 9 and 1 need of necessity to go with 2 digits that sum to 10. It's either 3 and 7 or 6 and 4. For whatever that's worth. These two are the same digit for whatever that is worth. An 8 here would go with 1, 7. A 5 here would go with 4, 7. So one of these two is always a 7. That does not sound useful to me. So a 5 here would go with 4, 7. An 8 here would go with 1, 7. So again, one of these is always a 7. But that doesn't seem to tell me much that I can parse out. This is a 3 or a 6. Let's see. So should I start subcoloring and color where this goes in various places? Yeah, we can. Well, subcoloring 3 6s is only going to help us. Oh, maybe it will. It might help us with the totals. Okay, so let's try subcoloring 3 6s, and see if it works. X X O X O X O O X X. So did that help? This 3 6 is different from that 3 6. And so I think what that tells me, I don't know. Okay, next we're subcoloring 258. So that's not the same as that. So that's the same as that. Not the same as that. It's the same as that. So this is a different. So that's X. That's X. By sort of chasing it around through the boxes. That's O. Let's see. Is there anything interesting that sees X and O or something like that? That is an X. I agree. What are we doing with row 8, column 8? X in row 4. X in row 4 is there, so that's not 2. I agree. Good. So yeah, one of these two is X, and one of these two is X. And we probably know that that has to be a 2 if we're willing to use uniqueness. But I don't feel that hopeless yet. Row 8, column 8 in box 7. So Selena would like us to chase, start coloring purples instead. So row 8, column 8 in box 7. So that is that digit. Then in row 3, wow, okay, that is, if that's an intended step, that's disgusting. So the point is now, where does blue circle go in row 3? It goes there. That's horrible. Don't do this to your solvers. No one there, no one there. So this is 4 or 7. Oops. 4 or 7. So these add to 10 now. So we can get rid of the blue circles around these digits, and we can, if we want, color the other 4 7s, which we can probably do. This one goes there, which makes that, which makes that, which makes that, makes that, makes that, makes that. It means this super isn't the XE one. If we are so inclined to do that, that is the XE one. So that's the OE one, XE and OE. I don't think our X's and O's have really penetrated meaningfully into the middle part. I know one of these two is the X1. Circle in column 5 is there. That's true. Okay, so the point is, if this was a 2, these would add to 10, and these wouldn't add to 10. So here is the point. So if this is a 2, now I am declaring that these two cells add to 10, but I know these two add to 10, and that doesn't work. So in fact, this is definitely a 5, which makes that an 8 and an 8 and a 2 and a 5 and an 8 and a 5. 8 and 2 Uh, uh, oh, did I cheat and then we just got lucky, or we're about to get very unlucky? That's very possible. 8, 5, 8, 5, 8, 5, 8, 5. So we either got lucky or we did not get lucky. One of those will happen. 8. And so now that this is an 8, we need these two to add to 8, which means it's 7 and 1. And 4 and 7. 4 and 7 and 7 and 7 and 4. And 4 and 1 and 7 and 7 and 7 and 7 and 4. 4, 1, 4, 4, 4. Now that needs to be a 3. So 3 is red X. 6 is red circle. 3 is red X. Yellow circle is 5. Oh, that's a 6 and a 3. And I believe I am ready to declare that the bet tree is a 9. So congratulations to all the 9 bettors. I really liked the beginning of that puzzle. Once it got into the killer part, I found it pretty tedious, if I'm honest. But the beginning with the counting the purples, I found really fascinating and interesting. And I've not quite seen it before, because it's sort of like Selena said, it is something like being a bunch of overlapping jellyfish or something like that. It was very interesting to sort of count exactly how many things there were and sort of see that there is this really forced geometry otherwise. I'd be interested to hear if the way we ended up thinking about it was exactly how SSG thought about it, or if SSG thought about the geometry part there at the beginning in a different way. Yeah, Kelly, I wish the puzzle had fallen over at that point. Sadly, the puzzle kept going after the cool part. Hey, SSG, I really liked at least the way we figured out to eventually sort of crack into this. The killer part was more than I would have bargained, or more than I would have preferred, but I really loved the geometry. I still think your arrow quadruple puzzle is my favorite geometry puzzle of that sort that I've ever done. So I shouldn't be too surprised that the cool geometry stuff came out here. But yeah, isn't that the step where we actually cheated, Selena? I think we cheated when we did that, but maybe not. Maybe we did it correctly. But anyway, I'm actually going to wrap up stream just a smidge early today because my parents are visiting, so I'm going to go hang out with them and adventure. But there have been many good puzzles today. But thank you everyone for hanging out. I hope to see you all again soon. Thank you to everyone who supports the stream. As always, if you want to support the stream, the easiest way to do that is to click the join button down below. And for as little as $5 a month, you can support the stream. So thank you very much. Thank you to all of you who do that. It is enormously appreciated. It really has helped make life better and helped make sure that I keep doing this. So anyway, thank you so much, everyone. I'll see you all again soon. Probably, I think there's not going to be a stream on Friday because there's a festival in town that we're going to go to. And then on Sunday, there'll be another stream. So I think I will see you all again on Sunday if you are available. So thanks for watching. Thank you to the super supporters, including Danita, who's in chat, David, who's in chat, Nordy, Franco, Woofer, DDX, Daniel, Willie, and Nico. Thank you so much. Do please take a second to like the stream. If you have not, it helps people find it, which is always very cool. But with that, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.